I'm deeply honoured to have the privilege of addressing this convocation of St. Mark's and Corpus Christi and to be graduating with you. I'm especially thrilled to be receiving an honoris causa degree called Doctor of Sacred Letters. The reason is that as my life and work have developed over the last 35 years, I've come more and more to realise the importance to each of us as individuals and all of us as societies of having a sense of the sacred, holding that on trust for future generations and passing it on to them. Indeed, I believe that having a sense of the sacred is fundamental to ethics. You are very important people in this regard, because helping people to experience the sacred in whatever ways are possible for them, ways which I believe are numerous and very varied, will be a central focus of your life's work. I believe that all life is a miracle and a mystery, and especially human life. We respect the entire miracle that life is. As a young child in Australia, on very hot summer nights, my father, brother and I would sleep under the stars, as my dad had in his childhood in the vast, empty Australian outback. There was no pollution and almost no artificial light, so the stars seemed very close and bright. Dad would point out the different stars and name them. I still love his favourite constellation, the Great Southern Cross. It guided and protected ancient mariner explorers who were frightened of falling off the edge of the world. Their contemporary counterpart explorers are scientists. Many years later, I came across a Peanuts cartoon that brought back memories of those nights when the universe was our bedroom ceiling. The cartoon gave me an insight that has proven to be an underlying theme of my life and work. Linus and Charlie Brown are sitting together, their backs to us, gazing up at the night sky. Linus says to Charlie, "Can you believe it, Charlie? Carl Sagan says there's billions of stars out there and billions more that we can't even see." Charlie replies forlornly, "I miss my dog." That cartoon inspired me to write a speech I called Gazing at Stars and Patting Cats. The core idea of gazing at stars and patting cats was that in order to experience awe, wonder and joy, and to deal with our tragedies, despairs and sorrows, we humans need to have one hand patting an animal or in the earth at the same time as we reach out with our other hand to the stars, to the universe. In a way, we humans are the medium through which the earth and the universe meet, the window through which they can see each other because we can perceive them both. Some scientists today propose that life on Earth evolved from primitive organisms in meteorites that crashed to Earth over 4.8 billion years ago. If this is true, those stars my dad, brother and I gazed at are part of us. We are the wondrous outcome of the combination of stardust and immense periods of time. But the new science means that we can now change that outcome of over 4 billion years of evolution that resulted in us in nanoseconds. We can do that, for example, by changing an embryo's germ cell line, the genes that are passed on from generation to generation. Moreover, in changing that embryo's germ cell line, we change not only that embryo, but all of its descendants in like manner. We can take control over human evolution. The question is, should we? That's an extraordinary and unprecedented power, a power no humans before us have ever possessed. With great power comes great responsibility. But the question is, what does fulfilling that responsibility require? For instance, many people believe it's never ethically acceptable to change the human germ cell line, that we have an obligation to hold it on trust for future generations as the common heritage of humankind. Others disagree. This is the kind of issue you could face as professionals helping to guide individuals in society who seek your help in making what are the most portentous decisions humans have ever faced. So in our 21st century exploration of vast outer space through astrophysics and cosmology, and vast inner space through genetics and molecular biology, what ethical Southern Cross, what constellation of ethical guiding principles, values and insights might guide 21st century explorers of the unknown? Here are some I'd suggest. The awesome wonders science is revealing to us do not have to make us atheists. On the contrary, they can dramatically strengthen our belief in what I call the mystery of the great unknown. Some of us believe that experiencing that mystery is one way of experiencing God. The Japanese have a saying that as the radius of knowledge expands, the circumference of ignorance increases. If we imagine our new knowledge as being like a laser beam going out into the darkness of our unknowing, we can see that the further out it goes, the greater is the area of our unknowing. In other words, the more we know, the more that we know that we don't know. That should generate in us a sense of awe, wonder, and humility. We should see life as mystical and an ongoing miracle that deserves our deepest respect. It should not, as seems to be happening, be converted to a problem to be solved with a quick fix technological solution, whether it's designing the baby we want, testing and discarding the ones we see as defective, or dealing with death through a lethal injection. It's true we must be careful of being what I was accused of, actually by Richard Dawkins, full of mystical nonsense, but it's far worse, as I told him, to be mystically tone deaf. We can't own a mystery, so we don't own life. Rather, life owns us. That means we must hold all life, but especially human life, in trust for future generations, so that we leave them with no less than we've inherited from past generations, and certainly no less than their natural human selves. We must actively engage in realistic hope-making. Hope is the oxygen of the human spirit. Without it, our spirit dies. With hope, it can survive and overcome even seemingly overwhelming obstacles. And to experience our connectedness to all life, understand our place in the universe, and find meaning, we need to experience nature as our most ancient ancestors did, in real time and place. Listen to it and respect it. In short, gaze at stars and pat cats. You can substitute a dog if you like. With the new technoscience, we have the potential to disconnect ourselves from the natural in many ways. Sometimes what we do is ethical, other times not. Above all, acting ethically requires acting with deep respect for all life and what sustains it. And that requires having the courage to say no when necessary, and engaging our ethical imagination and heeding our moral intuition, not just our reason, important as reason is. I believe that you graduates here today have a central role in this regard, because a sense of the sacred is fundamental to acting ethically, and as I said earlier, you are among the people who've chosen to spend your lives communicating that sense to others. So let's look briefly now at the concept of the sacred in our contemporary world. If it's fundamental to ethics, as I've suggested, then everybody must be able to have access to it. In my book, The Ethical Canary, I introduced a concept that I called the secular sacred. Everyone disliked it. Secular people thought I was trying to impose religion on them, and that religion had no place in the public square or informing public or social policy. And religious people objected that I was denigrating the concept of the sacred. However, one of my students said to me, "You know, Professor Somerville, when you have everyone mad at you, you're probably onto something important. In talking about the secular sacred, I'm suggesting that sacred is not only a concept that applies in religious or ritualized contexts, but also one that operates at a general societal or secular level. I'm proposing it as a concept that, among other outcomes, might help us to find some shared ethics, which I believe it's essential we do. Moreover, we can endorse the concept of the secular sacred, whether or not we are religious, and if we are religious, no matter which religion we follow. That will help us to find what we have in common ethically, which will enable us to have experiences of ourselves as belonging to the same moral community. And as those experiences accumulate, that in turn will help us to find more shared ethics than would otherwise be possible. I believe that each of us needs to experience a complex interaction of knowing ourselves, relating to others, appreciating our place in the great web of all life, and seeing ourselves as part of the earth, the stars, the universe, and the cosmos. The acute and continuous awareness of such a mind-blowing web of relationships is what I call the human spirit. I define the human spirit as the intangible, immeasurable, ineffable, numinous reality that all of us need to have access to find meaning in life and to make life worth living. That deeply intuitive sense of relatedness or connectedness to all life, especially other people, to the world, and to the universe in which we live. The metaphysical, but not necessarily supernatural, for those who are not religious, reality which we need to experience to live fully human lives. For those who are religious, the essence of the human spirit is the soul, the sharing in a divine spark. But even those who are not religious seem to believe in the human spirit, or at least they act as though they do. Whatever our beliefs about its source, a beautiful description of it is captured in the Hindu salutation, Namaste, which loosely translated from the Sanskrit means, the light in me recognizes the light in you. Protecting the human spirit requires that we remain connected with our human past and feel connected to a human future. We need to do that for other reasons as well, for instance, to engender hope and avoid nihilism and cynicism, which are antithetical to ethics. Like our physical being, we must protect and nurture our human spirit if it's not to be destroyed, in particular by what we can now do with the new science. Ethics is one way to do that. In summary, I'm proposing that linking the secular and the sacred by adopting a concept of the secular sacred can help to unite everyone who accepts that some things are sacred, whether they see the sacred source as religious or purely natural or secular. If we accept the sacred, whether religious or secular, we'll accept that certain aspects of life are sacrosanct. The sacred then requires that we respect the integrity of the elements that allow us to fully experience being fully human, and in doing so, we protect those experiences. The sacred is a concept that we should use to protect that which is most precious in human life, starting with life itself. An important question in this context is, what are our present ethical obligations to future generations? What must we regard as sacred and hold on trust for them? What do we owe to them? A question we very rarely ask. What does an ethics of responsibility, as compared with an ethics of rights, require of us? The entities that need to be seen as secular sacred and held on trust must extend beyond physical realities to include important metaphysical realities, in particular, important shared societal values such as respect for life. To implement that respect, we should ground our decisions, I believe, in a basic presumption in favor of nature, the natural, and life. That means we must have strong justification, which we often do, for interfering with, for instance, the natural, and that we must not radically change it so as to destroy its essential essence.